Oh, g'day, church. Kirk and Andy here. Just a little update as we head into our launch service for this Sunday. So, our launch service is, we've started services, we don't really stop. It's a thing that we do. But launch service, the idea is that most people are back from holiday this coming week, school's starting up again. Our St. John's Kids program is starting up at 10 a.m. service this week. Life groups are starting up again, that sort of thing. So we'd like to make a bit of a bigger deal of this particular coming service on January 30. And so we thought we'd make this little video encouraging people to come along, in particular to our in-person services. There's a couple of reasons for that. Andy, can you just say someone has COVID at any of the in-person services this week, and you're there as one of the participants.
Yeah.
Can you be a close contact and have to isolate for 7 days because you're there?
No. So the government changed their regulations around the definition of a close contact. So a close contact, someone who has to isolate just in case they get COVID, is now only classified as someone who spends 4 hours with someone in a household-like setting. Now, the church is the house of God, but it doesn't count. It's not a closed space that you're really close with someone with masks off and things like that. So it really has to be a home or a aged care facility, something like that, for it to be counted as that 4 hours to be defined as a close contact.
So if you're worried about that, then the rules have changed, and so please don't let that keep you away. Another thing is people might not be familiar with the safety things that we're doing, so quick run through on that. We have got the air cons on, we've got the fans on, we've got all our internal doors open, so that's creating a lot of airflow going through.
We've opened up some external doors as well. We're just trying to maximise that ventilation. These are all the safety recommendations from Brett Sutton, our Chief Health Officer, so we're doing everything we can in that regard to make it safe.
New toilets, new creche, and look, if you haven't come along to an in-person service this year, numbers are a lot lower than they would have been 2 years ago. Yeah. So there's plenty of room to just spread out and so on. So if you can social distance as much as you want to.
We're still socially distancing our pews, so there's still about 1.5 meters, sometimes 1 meter, but still space in between each row of pews. And so if you need to, you can sort of sit up the back. We do actually have video feeds running throughout our church building now. So in the creche and in the foyer, you can actually watch the service that's happening in the worship centre. So if you are feeling uncomfortable in the worship centre, you could move out into the foyer, much more space in there.
And masks on for everyone who is 8 years and older, unless you have a mask exemption. Yeah. So there's just plenty of safety stuff going on. It doesn't guarantee that you won't get infected, but it does drastically reduce the possibility. The last thing we just wanted to say is there's great value in meeting in person. So I've gone to a bunch of the services over the last few weeks, and I've had conversations with people, 10, 15, 25 conversations over the last few weeks. And look, not every conversation's been a life changer.
No.
But they've all been really pleasant, and some of them have actually been really fascinating or really encouraging in my faith. Some of them have actually been like, oh, wow, that was an awesome conversation. And they're the sort that if you just stay home and watch the digital, they're going to be harder to have. Now, we should say there's some fantastic reasons to stay home and watch the digital. So this is not a guilt trip video to go, there's some fantastic reasons why people would be watching.
Absolutely. And we do really value our digital congregation. For those of you, especially who are really engaging with the service, who are engaging in the live chat, who are maybe inviting people into your home to watch the service alongside you, we do really value you as a congregation. And we don't want this video to minimize that because our digital congregation isn't going anywhere. We do see this as a long-term congregation, a new congregation that we've planted through the pandemic. But there's still value in meeting in person. And you can see that in our life groups, for instance. Most of our life groups are meeting in homes in person, or perhaps outside, or using the church facilities. And they meet in person because there's stuff that you can't replicate online. Those conversations that you have, the incidental conversations that you can't have.
Well, even when life groups are meeting on Zoom, they're still interactive, aren't they? There's still a greater level of in-personness than simply watching YouTube. And even if you're fully a digital congregation person, perhaps you live a long way away, nowhere near Diamond Creek, there's no way you can be an in-person thing, or your health is just at a point where there's no way you can be in person at the moment, we'd still recommend in-person interactions in some way, because it's so important just to life, so important to us as Christians to be meeting together. And actually we're called to do that as followers of Jesus. So maybe the big group is not the way to do it for everyone, but it is an opportunity to do it. And particularly with Launch Sunday this week, it's a great opportunity to do it. Come along, hear about the things that are happening this year. And yeah, it's happening. 8 a.m., 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. on Sunday, 30th of January. Hope to see you there, or at 9 a.m. on the digital.